Vag, vag, vag. What you gonna do when it's hot outside? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag. What you gonna do when the trains are down? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag.
All right. We're doing
We're
it.
back. That's how we start every episode. We're like, we're back. We haven't died.
We're just succeeding. I mean, you have to really lower your expectations these days. Just, I'm alive. I did it.
I'm actually really liking all of this. I feel like my self-value is not determined on getting spots anymore, and so I feel a lot better.
Yeah. It really...
Oh, sorry.
You're just like, I thought you were going to be like, what, you're not getting Zoom spots? And then she just starts crying.
Well, let's introduce our special guest, Liz Miele.
Oh, I like how you made that sound French. Liz Miele.
I always say your name wrong, and every time I say it, I just hope you don't yell at me.
Oh, I have never corrected you because it doesn't matter. And
Mio.
It's actually Miele. But I say. So do you go Tolomach? Is that how you say it?
I go Tolomach.
Tolomach. I call you Tolomachi because I'm so Italian and I know it's wrong, but it's so like, you know, when you learn something wrong and you're like, I'm going to remember to say it right. But then you're like, but I have so much fun saying it wrong. So
yeah, where you're like, it just sounds better when you do it. Like, I know we say Adidas, but a lot of people say Adidas, like in Europe.
Yeah.
I think it sounds more fun to say Adidas.
Yeah, I love Adidas, but you can't say Adidas here or they'll look at you like you're crazy or you have some weird uncle with a Greek name.
Yeah.
But no, to me it's Americanized and it doesn't matter. So I think it's supposed to be like Miele, like you have to have some hand gesture that goes with it.
Oh.
Miele. You have to hold a meatball when you say it. But I'm not going to do that. And so tons of people just call me Meal and it doesn't like I never correct anybody. It doesn't.
I never correct anyone either when they say my name gets butchered a lot too. I just never correct anyone.
To me, if you know the spelling of it, that's good enough for me. Like if the way you say it makes you know how to put it. Because like at this point, it's can you find me on Instagram? Can you buy tickets to my show? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Matters.
And then you'll get to a level where eventually everyone will know your name. Although I still don't know if it's Basinger or Basinger for Kim.
Kim,
actress.
Oh yeah. I guess it does. Like. Yeah, I think it's just about being able to spell it and then say it well enough that somebody knows about, you know, I think of like Hurry Kundabolu has a joke about, you know, people learning to spell his name, but then he makes a good point about Zach Galifianakis. Like you get big enough, people will make an effort. So fucking, we're just this close to people caring.
Hari has a really hard last name to say.
But it's so fun. So like we've so we'll we do the road together. And so there'll be 2 hotel rooms under his name. And so sometimes I'll get there first and I'll text him. I'll be like, hey, is it under my name? He's like, yeah, it's under my name or your name. You'll find out. And I go, dude, if it's not under my name, they look at me weird. So I'll be like, hey, there should be 2 rooms under Kundabolu. And they're like, what? Who? And I'm just like, you don't know my life. What if my name was Kundabolu? Like, just go with it. But I'm so good at spelling it. I actually really like it. Like it's so fun to spell. It's fun to say. Maria Shahada is a good friend of mine, and hers is Egyptian. And to me, I think it's the best last Shahada. Like it's so fun. There's like.
I like saying Hemda's name.
Oh yeah, Hemda has a beautiful name. See, that's the thing is like we have 3 boring first names. You got to have fun with the last one. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Sorry to call you guys boring if you didn't know.
But Sarah's actually African American.
Oh, is she? Okay.
So I get really mad when people mispronounce my last name.
Yeah, I could see that. I love that we all have our beverages. This is so nice.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but Sarah was born in Africa. Do you know that?
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I wasn't just being a jerk.
Oh, I thought you were being silly.
No.
Also, you are a jerk. So
I am a jerk. That's true.
So you were born in South Africa. When did you come to the U.S.?
In, I think, 79 or 78, because I don't think I was even a year old.
Oh, okay. So that's why you don't have a sweet South African accent. That's why you don't sound like Trevor Noah.
No. I wish I did, though. I think I would have gotten a lot further in the business.
Oh, and did I just assume South Africa, or was it somewhere else?
No, you got South Africa.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to tour there. Have you been back since you were a baby?
I went in 90, and I think I was in 6th grade or end of 5th grade, and I haven't been back since. And then most of my family immigrated to Australia,
Oh, cool.
so they don't even really live there anymore.
Oh, but that'd be cool to see. Like, were you able to see where you grew up or like where you were born?
I did, and it was cute, and I liked South Africa. I thought it's huge. Like, you wouldn't, I guess, you know how things like when you're in the States, you just don't kind of pay attention to geography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's almost like, I think it's about the size of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Pakistan on a tour. So I was in Karachi, and they really wouldn't let me roam by myself, just as somebody that doesn't live there, but also as like a woman. And so I was like, well, how big is this city? And he goes, there's 25 million people here. And I was like, and I always say, like, we always talk about how during the day, not when there's a pandemic, there's like 8 to 9 million people in the city. And when he said that, it just clicked to me. And I was like, that's so many people for one city. Like, it just,
Yeah.
he literally, because the way he said it, he was like, there's 25 million people here. I do think it's relatively safe, but all it takes is one crazy, and then Americans can't come back or comedians won't come back here. And I don't want to take that risk. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And then for the rest of the trip, I was like, 25 million people. That's insane.
That's
Like,
so much. Like, that, didn't I just feel like that should be the world population?
that's been the craziest thing about the pandemic is they'll literally be like, this many people died. And I'm just like, we have this many people? Like, does that, like, I think of Adrian's joke. Does that mean all the parking spots have opened up? Like,
Yeah.
like, that feels like that's everyone. Did everyone die?
25 million people in one city is insane.
Insane.
I would move. I barely can live in this one. It has 8 million.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if is it bigger, like, geography wise? Is it much larger than like all of New York City?
I wonder. I don't know enough about that. Also, you have to understand with Pakistan, the disparity in wealth is insane. It's like even worse there than it is in the United States. So like you have people on the street begging for what is an eighth of a penny, and that's like real money to them. And then we were passing these beautiful mansions and houses, and I'm thinking, oh, I can own real estate in Pakistan, and they'll be like, that's 7 million, that's 10 million, that house is 14 million. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm broke everywhere.
Yeah.
If you stayed there,
That's
you'd have to be begging on the street.
Truly. I'd be like, dude, I got 6 pennies today. I'm pretty rich. Like, like that's the first country I've been to, like, Egypt. And there was a little bit of that kind of in Egypt. And I was in Jordan. Like there's levels of it, but that was the first time I really saw a disparity in wealth, and that it really like hit me that I was like, I've been in bad parts of the US, and I didn't grow up with a lot of money myself, but I've never seen something like this. Like I'm happy I saw it, and it puts things in perspective. And I've always thought, like, what can I do to help? But I think it sounds really silly, and maybe this is like white girl perspective, but I think the fact that so many people didn't want me to go to Pakistan and perform there, and they said it was dangerous and it was a bad idea, and it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. People were super grateful. I got to see a culture I would have never seen before, and I made lifelong friends. Just kind of is that initial go fuck yourself, you don't know what you're talking about, and we're all one kind of hippie.
Yeah. Well, I remember when growing up, or like going to visit my cousins who were quite a bit older than I was, they would be like, oh, I don't think we could ever move to the States. And theirs was like, because of drive-by shootings. And that's because at that time, like in the 90s, you were getting New Jack City,
And
Boys in the Hood.
all the rap music too.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
just
what,
assume.
yeah, you just assume that was going on all the time. And you're like, I don't, it's
You think
not.
Well, you think about like pop hip hop in the 90s, like This Is How We Do It, where even they talk about a drive-by, they make it sound fun, like it's a party. And you're like,
yeah.
like even like that's how I think it even gets into the zeitgeist of the culture, is that it's a fun song about drive-bys. Like,
Yeah, that it's just like happening all the time. And you're like, maybe 1 or 2 streets in certain cities, but like, it's not a fear that you have to live by.
but now school shootings up until the pandemic were a fear that you had to live by. Like they were so prevalent, and nobody did anything about them. that it is kind of funny that we put all this money into terrorism, all this money to fight overseas, and we're not even fighting it on a local basic level with gun regulations. I just feel we're such hypocrites, and the amount of people that were like, don't go to Pakistan, you're going to die. And I was like, it was lovely. Like, it was awesome.
I think I'm going to go to Pakistan, and then I'm going to get murdered there. And then Liz is going to be like, well, maybe it's not nice there for everyone.
No, I literally, no exaggeration. If Adrian gets killed anywhere, it really will be like
my fault.
Victim blaming. I'm not joking. Like, I would be like, Adrian, what did you say? What did you do? Adrian, what did you do?
I would be on my best behavior because I would be scared I would go into like a Pakistani jail and just get like live there forever.
Also, you're like, you speak a big game, but you are a lovely person.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a very lovely person.
The only time you're legit not lovely in the real world is parking spots. I've been on the phone with Adrian where like she's actually like talking me off a cliff. Like she's being like truly like my therapist. She's like, it's going to be okay. You believe in yourself. If you don't get the fuck out of my way, I will murder your family. Like, and you're like,
driving in New York City is probably my downfall.
Oh, I agree. I'm the same way. I'm truly the same. I turn into another person. Like, I mean, everything I learned in therapy goes out the window driving in New York City.
If I was to be interrogated and they weren't getting information out of me, if they just sent me driving in New York City and were questioning me, I think I'd be able to tell them everything. I'd be
yeah. Just start giving like true trade secrets because you're just like, these people don't know how to fucking merge. You know who also does stuff wrong? The government.
That's why I have to murder everyone.
That's how I was with, like, you could be so loving and love mankind, and then you wait tables, and then you're like, I fucking hate everybody.
So I was like a bit of a pothead in high school, and then I kind of cut everything out. I started doing stand-up when I was 16, and I really wanted to focus on it. So I get into stand-up. I go to college. I'm like, night lighting. Is that the right way to say it? At night. Yeah. Mood lighting. That's a night lighting.
I like night lighting.
I like night lighting too. It's like a light. It's a light version of it. It's an adorable, scared of the dark version of it. So I'm moonlighting like as a comic and like doing open mics and barking and trying to hand out flyers to get stage time. And then I'm a waitress and I try to do mostly afternoon shifts. And then I was in college, and it was so stressful waiting tables, and people were so just insane and mean and aggressive that I started smoking pot again because I didn't know, like I would come home. I lived 4 blocks from this Italian restaurant that I was a waitress at. I would come home and I would be like, did I ever get that woman her salad? Like, yeah. I couldn't, like, it was so, like, people were so crazy, and it made me feel so insane that I started, like, I had, like, the first thing I would do when I got home would smoke pot just to, like just erase the day of anxiety and sadness.
Oh, it's awful. Sometimes you're like, think about quitting comedy. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll become a nurse. And then I think, God, if I hated waiting tables and that didn't have anyone's life depending on me.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't imagine what being a nurse is like, where everybody thinks they're the one that's dying first.
My sister's a nurse. She's been an emergency room nurse. Like you're belittled. Like people think you don't have value. So they're all like, you don't know what you're talking about. They're like, you really are dismissed the same way you are as a waitress. Like you're just a person that carries things, and you don't have value, and you're either ignored, belittled, or shit on. And they're like, hey, the doctor's pretty busy and I do 90% of the work. And I have so much control over your life. Like, you're like, you should be nicer to me.
Yeah. I just can't imagine what it's like when everybody thinks their problems is more important. And you're like, yeah, everybody's dying.
Yeah, we're like, in the ER.
Especially now. I wonder what the ERs are like now. So, I mean, I think the numbers for COVID have like gone down, but at the height of it, when New York City was like, the numbers were growing every day. I can't imagine what that ER or what that COVID area was like, because everyone is going through the same thing and everyone's scared of dying,
and that's where sometimes these like fads, like these people are heroes. I'm just like, all right, let's calm down. But I do agree. Like, I mean, they don't have enough protection. They're working crazy hours. People are getting sick. They don't have all the answers. Like, this is truly the first time that nurses specifically are actually being seen for the valuable people that they are, and have constantly been overlooked in society, that it does make you, I mean, I hope we don't forget it. I feel like we still call firefighters heroes because of 9/11. I hope that continues, because I think as a society we've been quite shitty.
Yeah, I like that they get lumped in with Grubhub food delivery guys.
Yeah.
Like Joe just had a guy deliver his Chipotle, and he just kind of whipped it across the hallway.
That's really funny.
Like, you could just drop it. What?
What if Joe didn't catch it?
I know, but I was like, dude, you could just place it down and then we will walk to it. But it's just funny that he's like, we're all like clapping for those guys too.
Well, it's also funny where you're just like, you're like, you order chicken and you're like, oh, I guess it flies again.
Yeah.
Just like new life to this chicken has wings again.
Yeah, no idea.
I wonder if the pandemic has made some people who are in school reconsider being nurses.
Oh,
like if you are a nurse right now,
I know.
You're like, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up for broken ankles and like someone falling out of a tree. I did not sign up for like this pandemic and possibly infecting me and my whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge risk. I think being a doctor, being a nurse, being any kind of person that helps sick people, you're always at risk. But I don't think, usually you're at risk with somewhat information and proper protection. And we literally just threw these people into the ring, literally with like a paper clip and a bandana, and we're like, do your best, you know?
Yeah, and with no information.
Yeah, and no funding, and
I wonder. I'm assuming they're getting some type of hazard pay.
That's a big assumption. I don't see that. Like, they're trying to, but I don't see that happening. Like, I do think grocery store workers and pharmacists and people delivering food, people that, you know, I love this approach where people are like, you know, what great people, but you're like, no, these people are essential. And if they weren't essential or if they didn't need the money, they wouldn't be doing this. So it's
right. That's the other thing too. It's mostly the people that are, you know, on the lower end of, I guess, wealth in this country that are doing those jobs. And then you're putting them at these high risk positions where they can't not go to work because they have families. And
it's
not a choice. You're like, thank you for doing this. And you're like, hi, I don't have any other way of, you know, I have no other way of supporting my family.
You're like, I'm not a good person. I just have no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I hope they get hazard pay. I absolutely do. But I'm so disenchanted with how this is being handled that I don't see it happening, or not to the effect that they deserve.
Well, didn't it take forever, like 20 years for first responders to get
Oh yeah, I mean they were
compensation for the ailments that they got. Yeah,
like they wanted to have complete health insurance forever. Like, so you have to understand, like, when a political person, so let's say you run for Senate, like you're a senator for 4 years. I don't know how long senators are, but you're a senator, you do it for 4 years. You're in the system. You have health insurance, like everything's there forever. You're good. Like you do this job and you're good forever. And I think the same thing should be done. I thought it should have been done for first responders. Like, you're forever going to have more health problems. You can be traumatized. There's all these different mental and physical things that happen to people. And we were just kind of like, thank you.
Like we're gonna make a statue of you, but then that's it.
Yeah, you're like, cool. Nobody fucking needs a statue. So I think it's the same thing that they should forever have health insurance. Like, we should all have health insurance, but if we're gonna be dicks and not give people health insurance, they should absolutely have it indefinitely, and their kids should have it indefinitely, because their kids have been put at risk and their partners have been put at risk.
Well, that's what I liked about Jon Stewart, is that he really fought for 9/11 like first responders, and he helped get that law passed. Remember, they were just trying to do away with all of it. It's like, how do you think people that were exposed to asbestos and all that stuff during 9/11 are not like having cancer, dying, like, it's so insane, like the short memories that we have. So that's why I think even if this was to be over next year, like, nobody would care about nurses like in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's what it is that they like this clapping at 7 p.m. It's a nice thought, but nobody wants a clap. They want to have choices. They want to be taken care of, and they want to know that if they had the choice, like, you know, there's people that are getting sick that still have to work, or that they're now worried they can't feed their kids. Like we're just putting people in such shitty situations.
Yeah. And I think unfortunately, like nobody really cares about people that are like either on the lower end of income or just not, like everyone that's rich, their families will be fine, you know?
Yeah.
But that's like, I mean, that's the same thing with the AIDS epidemic. It's like when rich people got it, they were fine. But when like poor people got it, or people that did drugs did it, or like prostitution.
Yeah, no one cares about them.
Yeah, they go, well, they're not real people. Cool. Oh, I didn't know this. So, you know, they opened up unemployment for freelancers, which was like a big deal. We couldn't have gotten unemployment before. My roommate was telling me that like burlesque dancers can't get it. Strippers can't get it. If you do anything that they have, which is a real job, like honestly,
Yeah.
If you're, it's work. Like it's not illegal.
It's probably more work than what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So that's like that Christian bullshit mentality, which is because you don't like the job I have, I can't get unemployment.
They like the job they have, not in front of other people.
Yeah, well, they basically say that they're saying burlesque dancers and strippers are less than people. They don't deserve any kind of compensation.
That's so fucked up.
And they pay taxes. Go fuck yourself. If you pay taxes, you're entitled to unemployment. Like that's why this isn't free money. The government's like, we've been paying taxes for however long as you've been paying taxes.
Also, like this is not regular circumstances. This
100%.
is like a pandemic where people are being affected and no one had control over this. No one's being lazy and not trying to work, you know?
Yeah. It's garbage. That made me so fucking angry. Like, how is that legal that they get to determine that being a burlesque dancer isn't a job, even if they were being paid, and even if they paid taxes? Like, go fuck yourself.
So they probably need a big person to fight for it. Unfortunately, none of us are famous enough.
Yeah, and that's what sucks about it is like I think somebody bigger fought for us. Like that's the reason that freelancers, because all of a sudden now you have ballet dancers, you have actors, you have comedians, you have painters, anybody that did anything where that doesn't fully put them on the grid literally has no option to make money.
I don't understand how come ballet dancers can get it and strippers can't.
Exactly.
Good point.
Exactly. They are both half naked with their butts out and should be fully compensated.
Stripping is, first of all, I took ballet when I was a kid. I've never been able to do strip moves.
My sister
It's a workout.
My sister was doing pole dancing classes and she fucking loved it. But the core strength that you have to have, it's really hard. There was a show, Lower East Side or East Village years ago. I can't remember who runs it, where it would be a comedian and then it would be a pole dancer and then a comedian and pole dancer. Yeah, it was so fun. The women were I mean, you look at them and you're like, do you have a 12-pack? Like you are all like, they are a level so strong.
Yeah,
That's why I always thought that guy strippers should always incorporate a pole because they have way stronger cores than we do, that they would be quite impressive on the pole.
They are. There's a guy on TikTok that I'm in love with that he calls him, he's like a human flag. So he'll go up a pole and then he'll just stand like this and his body is like this. And I'm like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. I think we have a listener who's also a comic, Shin. He does pole dancing.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
Maybe Lizzo will fight for strippers. They need somebody at Lizzo's level.
Yeah, they should. I just think this is such bullshit. Everybody's hurting. Everybody that was working wants to work and doesn't have the ability, and everybody should be entitled to unemployment. If you paid taxes and you had a job where you made money and now you can't do it anymore, just like it says on the unemployment website, then you are entitled to unemployment. I just think that made me so angry.
Do you put?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't even remember what I put down.
For what?
For unemployment, because I did have W-2s from temping, so I don't know if they based it off of that. Now I can't remember if I did also mention I am self-employed.
Mine was all through comedy, so I just submitted a bunch of W-9s and 1099s from clubs and stuff.
I didn't even have to submit the paperwork.
So maybe they might have gone off just your W-2s then. I'm not sure.
And they were more, not stricter, but they wanted more if you were a freelancer, because you had to prove like that you paid taxes. You had to prove that you made money. Like there was There was, I think, a couple more steps for freelancers.
Yeah.
So
I know, I just find it weird and kind of funny that I'm like getting paid really well right now. And there's people that are just like busting their ass.
Yeah, I think that's why people are like, are we really against socialism? I think if you're like in, poor, you're like for it. Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah. But like, isn't it insane that there's all these people that are like, oh, you should have just done stand-up comedy because you could have just made some money in unemployment and not do anything.
Wait, what is their logic? I'm confused.
Oh, I'm just saying that like, like people that have to go into work and they have to, work 40 hours a week. And then I'm just getting paid, pretty decently to not do anything right now.
But that's most people.
And it's limited. I mean, and
yeah.
It's true, it is limited, but like, how many weeks of this do we get?
It's been
Sarah is already preparing her life. I'd like to retire. Yeah. Like right before this happened, I was like, I wish I could retire.
And now you have.
Yeah.
Now I've retired. And I gotta be honest, I was walking Zuzu last night and I was like, I kind of love this life. Like at first I hated it and now I'm like, I kind of like it. I'm at home all day. I get to do whatever I want. I'm catching up on all these shows.
Yeah.
I'm like a cat. I can nap whenever I want.
Oh, I've always been an indoor cat. That has always been. I have to say, like I was a homebody, like during stand up, but in the beginning of stand up, nobody's booking you, and you're just like, all right, I'm home, I'm not doing anything, and then you get more gigs, and you start to get excited, and then you get to the point where you're always out, and you're like, I just would love a night home where I'm not traveling or going anywhere, and then I just feel like this is everyone's wish gone wrong. But I guess for me, I just don't know what the balance is, because we started out like working all the time and this was what we wanted, but now we're going to go back and it's going to be different. It's going to be like we don't make as much money or we don't have as much control of our career. So it's like, it's one of those things where I think we'd all want to come back, but we're not coming back to the same comedy atmosphere.
No, I feel like some people are going to quit.
Oh, I absolutely.
That's a great thing. If people who are like thinking about it, because we've all had that in our careers, I think, especially early on, where you're like, I don't know, man, this is hard. 4 or 5 years in, you're like, nothing's happening. I think those people who are going to experience this now are probably like, I'm out. Yeah.
Or you'll get squeezed out a little bit, because I feel like there won't be as many spots, since there won't be as many club spots, and so they'll only have like the top 1% of comics that are performing. So then it just means like some of these mid-level comics aren't going to get the pay they used to.
They were already squeezing, because features haven't had a pay raise in like 20 years. They were already already killing the feature spot, and it made it even harder to develop as a comic, because you couldn't really make a living on the road as a feature as you could 20 years ago. So like the feature spot and even just growing as a comic has been exponentially harder. And now the nice, and one of the reasons I think comics did go to LA or did go to New York, or at least went into like a city that had a lot of stage time, like Chicago or something, is because you could get good. You didn't have to travel much, and there was a lot of stage time. But now, even a hub like New York City, I just don't think it's going to be the same level of stage time. They're going to want to get people's butts in seats, and they can't get people's butts in seats with just regular Joe Schmo. And now they're going to try to be heavy hitters. I really think it's going to be really hard to get stage time if you don't have TV credits. Like, I think.
No,
it was already hard to get stage time. We're going to have to like go do like bars in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but this is the problem, is that without tourism, who's in these places?
Right. I guess you're really going to rely on people who live here to come out and support the arts.
And maybe with these free shows, because there was a ton of free shows or cheap shows at bars, maybe those might have a new life, because you have people that want to get out of their house. They don't have a lot of money because they weren't working, or, there's been a lot of budget cuts or what have you, that maybe these kind of alternative shows. But I don't think alternative show, like, what was nice about New York City is you had a choice of both. You could have club comics and alternative shows. And there's a little bit of a divide, but I think a lot of us kind of merge back and forth, because you can do new material, you'll meet other comics, you get a different type of audience. And then you could also do clubs where they're like packed, you make more money, blah, blah, blah. And now I think it's going to be pretty down the middle of like, you're young, you can only do bars. and you're established, you're doing clubs for the money and the consistency.
But like you said, tourism is dead. So how many times can people who live in the community come out and go to a show?
Oh yeah, two things are going to happen. There's going to be, I think the shows are going to be shorter.
Good.
And there's going to be, yeah.
I'm always like, keep it to an hour. This hour and a half shit's too long. 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah, I think the shows are going to be shorter, and I think there's going to be less shows. So like if you were a club on a Saturday that had 3 shows and they were all packed, I think you're going to have probably 1 or 2 shows. They're going to be shorter, and the capacity is going to be about 30 to 40%.
I'm out.
But like, at what point,
out.
I guess the thing is this, at what point at 30 to 40% are you earning enough where it might just be better to like claim bankruptcy? Do you know what I mean? How long can you have a business that's only at 30-40% capacity? And then, like you said, you're either paying comics less or you're cutting the amount of comics on the show. I
agree. I don't know. I don't know the math enough, and I don't know people. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I know some of the club owners, and you know they don't want to close, and they're doing everything they can. Of course
not. Yeah.
Even I saw Caroline's posted something that they're trying to get funding. I forget what it's called, but they're trying to get funding for the arts because clubs, theaters, all these different places are going to be the last to open. They're high risk. And so, yes, the world, let's say they flip a switch, the world's open on, let's just say June 15th. We're not, all of us, if they decide to open us, it's not going to be until probably July or August. So that's even longer. And then less people are going to come. Like if you don't support us, you're killing the arts. Like you're legit killing the arts.
Well, I turned down a gig recently. This guy offered me to do Altoona, Pennsylvania, June 26th for $400. And I was like, no, I don't even want to do it before the pandemic.
Altoona, Pennsylvania is like country bumpkin land.
I did that gig. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't the best, but it actually wasn't that bad.
But it's an 8-hour Greyhound bus ride. Fuck that.
No. You're not wrong. I did it around the holidays, and I was in Virginia, so it was only like a 2-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. I don't think you're wrong both for feeling uncomfortable, being like, I didn't want to do that when things were great, and I don't know what the turnout's going to be, blah, 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 and it's risky. The nice thing is that you're very far away from the stage is like a rock stage, so you're actually very far away from the audience. They can't spit on you. You can't spit on them. But I was offered upstate New York, which is one of the ones that had just opened already, for the end of June, and I told him tentatively yes. I said, and the reason I said tentatively yes is because it's a big rock venue as well. It holds 2,000 people, and their goal is 200 people. And they're taking social distancing seriously, masks seriously. They're taking all this stuff seriously, because I was like, it's not even just me. I'm less scared of me getting hurt. I'm scared of being a part of something where other people get hurt and other people get infected. And it was because people came out to see me. Like that being the catalyst to harm really scares me.
Yeah. But also a venue that is for 2,000 people having 200 people, and it sounds like a nightmare. That does not like.
No, but it's 2,000 standing because it's a rock venue. So this is where they would put tables and da-da-da-da. Is it going to have the aesthetics and like the laugh hitting you that you would in another situation? Probably not. But I think that's something we're going to have to get used to in general. My concern is you can have 200 people, but if a bathroom has 4 stalls, that's a line. If they don't have table service and they're going to the bar, that's a line. If they don't have something set up outside, that's a line. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'm worried about, is that during the show, I think we'll nail social distancing. It's about, when you go to a wedding and it's like buffet style or whatever, and they're just like, okay, tables 1, 2, and 3, you can go up and get your food. Like, it's going to have to be this schoolyard situation for getting drinks, going to the bathroom, because it's so easy to start congregating as people if there's more than 20 people.
Easily.
Also, too, right now the numbers are really low because we've been in quarantine. Once the numbers spike again, people are not going to really want to go out. And the people that want to go out are the people that are not taking this seriously, and you don't want to be around them anyway.
Yeah.
But so I was talking to, how long do you think of, because someone was like, a vaccine is probably like years away. And
They think 2021. I don't think it's years. I think it's, because if this started happening in February for realsies, I think we're looking at February 2021.
I don't know. I was talking to somebody that I think is pretty smart, and they said they thought it would be much longer than that, like 10 years. I don't think it'll be that long, but I think it'll be a couple of years.
You have the entire world working on this. This isn't like 4 doctors in America. You literally have every single person that works on this in the world. It's important to everybody to get a vaccine. You need a certain amount of distance because they have to test it and they have to make sure it works. And you don't want people to die because of the vaccine. That's where the holdup is. But they already have what they think is the solution. It just needs proper testing. I think that is they're thinking AIDS because nobody cared about AIDS, sadly, and they just didn't give a shit. We're talking about every single country being affected, every smart person working on this. I think we're talking about early next year.
It's weird though, because a lot of people, I guess with all the conspiracy theories, a lot of people are like, I wouldn't take a vaccine though. There's so many, like, besides just anti-vaxxers, there's a lot of people like that. They're like, I think this is like a government thing. I'm not going to take a vaccine.
Well, I would like to so they had the antibodies test like a month ago. They're like, we have antibodies tests. Like my gynecologist sent out an email. She's like, we're doing antibodies tests. Like we're not open, but we're open to this thing if you want to come in. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, I'm curious. I feel like everybody in New York City kind of got it. Like I was like really sick in February, and now I started to think like maybe that was it. And then I was like 10% sick for like 3 weeks in March. Like just nothing bad. But it was like, usually that level of sick would have either gotten worse or better in a shorter amount of time. And I was just like this 10% for forever. So I was like, I feel like I had it, and I would love to get an antibodies test and find out. But basically after that email came out, like 2 weeks later, all these news reporters were like, there's 50 tests out. 3 of them are FDA approved. All of them are like bullshit. They're not regulated yet. They're not good. So it's just a waste of time. Like I could get a yes or no answer and I wouldn't even know if it's true. So having the antibodies test be
What does the antibodies test do? It tells you already have had the virus.
It tells you that you already had the virus, and they know that because your body already started to build antibodies to like fight it. So this is the other part of it, is they still don't know with this virus specifically if having it before and having the antibodies really protects you in going forward. Plus, if it mutates, it might not protect you going forward. So we don't even know if the antibodies test has value yet.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to like wait online to get this test.
Yeah. I don't know. It's what bothers me is that they're saying people can be asymptomatic and not have a fever, but that's how they're regulating a lot of people, is just taking their temperature. Like I was in Europe when things got serious and there was a travel ban. So I flew back and they basically took my temperature and were like, do you have any of these symptoms? And I was like, no. And they're like, self-quarantine, you're good to go. And it's like, you don't there's so many asymptomatic people that would literally be like, hey, do you have herpes? And they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, cool, let's do this.
That's the thing. Also, I think if you said yes, would you just get quarantined there?
I don't know. I have no idea. They didn't even tell you what that meant, is if you said, yeah, I have a really bad cough and I have a fever. Well,
I have a friend, my sister was telling me, we went to high school with him, he and his girlfriend, she got it, and then he didn't show any signs, and then they did a test, like the antibody test, and he didn't show up that he ever got it, but she did. And then he lived in the same apartment.
I've heard that too. That makes me not trust the antibodies test.
Well, it's also, that happened to Alyssa Wolf and Noah Savage. He had it, and I don't think she ever got sick.
Yeah, but it also, the antibodies test also said that she didn't have the antibodies.
Yeah. For Alyssa Wolf?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if she doesn't have antibodies, it's like she wasn't exposed to it, even though she was right in the same apartment with him.
Yeah, and they're saying that it's so viral that you could be in like a bank line and somebody could sneeze on you and you get it. So it's like, that's what's crazy about it, is if you live together.
There's so much untested stuff that it's hard to know what to believe.
Well, I just got a headline today saying that CDC says that it's not very spreadable over surfaces.
Yes, I just saw that too. And you're like, so what am I going to do to all this Lysol? Why am I importing like Clorox?
Because you still clean. I don't know. And then one guy yesterday on CNN or MSNBC, he was talking about like face masks don't really do anything.
I don't think that's completely true. I think there's some kind of, I think any kind of barrier is going to help you. I understand that a bandana is probably not as efficient as a PPE, but you also have to understand there's people that are wearing PPEs helping sick people and they're not getting sick. And then there's doctors and people not wearing PPE and they're getting sick. Like, I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was somebody that wrote to me on Instagram. They were like, masks don't work. And I'm like, then why are these doctors wearing them in the hospital? They're like, well, that's...
I think it cuts it down. But I think what this doctor was just saying that, like, just because you're wearing a mask doesn't mean that you get to go around all willy-nilly and do a life that you were used to previous, that you still have to cut down on your contamination. Or, I mean, like,
of course, I think
your travel with people.
I think it should be social distancing plus a mask plus being responsible. Because the other thing is people are wearing masks, and if the whole point is the mask covers your face, and if somebody coughs, it's a barrier. But then if you touch the front of your mask, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons they tell you to always take it out from the behind. If it's something that's reusable, you throw it out. Not reusable, you throw it out. If it's reusable, you wash it. Like, there's all these different precautions we're supposed to be taking that, just saying wear a mask is kind of like, well, that's not the whole equation.
Yeah. My mask is so dirty from makeup.
I was doing a thing where I had one mask for makeup and one for not makeup.
That's hilarious. Because I have baseball caps that the whole inner rim is like just caked on makeup. And I remember washing my hat and being like, I don't think I've done this in 10 years. Like, no wonder I have acne.
Yeah, all around here.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't understand. You know what I did the other day, ladies, that I have never done?
What?
I washed my makeup brushes.
Wow. You finally have the time.
Truly. First of all, I'm like somebody that suffers from acne, so I should have been doing this at least every couple of weeks for the last couple of years. And I think I bought these brushes like 2 years ago. It's not like I've had them since middle school, although I do have makeup I've had since middle school. But I literally was like, I think influence of like people online being like, I bought this thing and this thing. So I didn't buy anything. I just washed it. But I was like, really proud of myself. I'm really out here making changes in my life.
Well, Liz, you have the time to do it now. You can do self-maintenance like that.
Yeah, I can do that thing that I should have been doing the whole time.
Liz, do you know that little thing that you showed me that's kind of like a little paint roller for your face?
Oh, it's like a jade roller or something.
Yes, I bought one of them because she had one, and I just am buying stuff every day on like any Amazon, not even Amazon. I'll go on like Facebook or Instagram, and I'm just like buying all that stuff now at that extra $600.
That's not now I'm sad about it.
It's not very expensive, but like I bought one that like you have, but I think it vibrates.
Ooh, fun. This is what's funny about it is that like there's more time to think about this stuff. I would have never bought this otherwise. I barely have time to like, I keep forgetting to brush my teeth, to be perfectly honest, but I saw it. I've been very much into like this is starting to sag a little bit. And it's like the first time.
Yeah.
So I was just looking, and basically I have friends that are like Botox, facelifts. I'm into all of it. And I'm just not. I'm fully aware that I'll probably eat my words at some point, but I would like to fucking put on some lotion and roll something on my face and it works. And it's like, now I have the time. And I've really started to enjoy it where like, you roll your forehead, you roll this. And there's like, we're talking about 5 minutes, but there's like a sense of accomplishment. What are you doing, Adrienne?
Sorry, my stupid phone is dying. So I had to,
okay.
I have one of those little rings, and I had to flip it around so I wouldn't have to get off the call.
My favorite part about this is the fact that your phone is dying, but you've been home all day and you could have charged it. and you just chose this.
Well, you know what, Liz? I'm still living on the edge. You know,
I see that.
Well,
you want a little bit of risk in your life.
We didn't even get to talk about your special that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It comes out May 30th, 8 p.m.
Is it free?
Yes, it's on YouTube. Thank you for asking, Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's just going to be on my channel. It's free. It's premiering at 8, which what that means on YouTube is that there'll be like a little chat box and I'll watch it with you and people can chat with me and be like, this is great. And I'll be like, thank you so much. I love compliments. But after 8 p.m., after it premieres, then it's just a regular YouTube video. So it's free to everybody. It's on the album version of it is on pre-sale. If people, I know people that like listening to the audio and stuff like that, but it's my first special. Everything else has been an album. So that was exciting. Adrian was at the taping.
I was at both tapings. First of all, I've listened to all your stuff, all your albums and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And this is probably Liz's best work, I think, because she is the most herself. And also you're just like growing up and kind of becoming who you are. It's my favorite body of work of yours.
Thanks, Muffin.
Can you give everyone can you tell them like one of my favorite jokes?
Is that the Let's Do Murder?
Yes.
So I renamed it.
I love anything with murder.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
I renamed it. I just actually put it out as a animator in Australia wanted to animate something for me. So I was like, here's a bunch of bits that I think are very visual. This one's my favorite. And she goes, oh my God, this one's my favorite too. But I renamed it and called it I Have All the Weapons. And it's about all the weapons I carry on my keychain because, we used to walk home at 2 a.m. every night. And it's about my safety cat, my pepper spray, and my knife that I carry with me and why I carry it with me. And then this interaction with somebody that scared me that made me feel like, cause basically the joke is like, there's a part of me that like, when I get scared walking home late at night, it's like, run, get out of the way. And then there's the other part because I have all these weapons that I'm like, this is it. We're going to kill somebody. Like we've been practicing. So I'm really excited. I love the animated version of it. It's, I think we've all been some version of monotone. Like, I think I was super monotone when I started and I'm starting to be more clearly I use my hands too much, like a gregarious Italian sassy lady that I am.
Yeah.
That anger and movement is starting to come out more, like kind of Adrian said. And I do feel more myself and I am a ranter and I am I think one of the reasons me and Adrian became so close is I think we're nice people, but we go from like, it's going to be okay to like, I'll murder your family very quickly. Like
Yes.
It doesn't take much and not just in traffic. Like I remember this so clearly. I was in London with my friend Maria and this guy was trying to sell us newspapers. So he was like, ladies, get the newspaper. It's a pound. And I was like, oh no, thank you. And he goes, come on, it's just a pound. And I was like, oh no, thank you. And he's like, come on. I was like, get the fuck away from me. I fucking said no. I said no. And Maria is like dragging me. And I was just like, and then
it's
for
that
like,
guy's fault.
and then for 20 minutes, I was like, I was nice and he didn't listen. And now you get the real version. Like, so like, that's what I feel like people are starting to see the real me in that sense, because I think in the beginning, when I said fucked up things, it was in a very calculated, monotone way. And now people see it exactly how it comes out, which is like crazy, Liz.
Yeah.
But I feel good about it. I'm really excited. And my favorite part, which Adrian has seen, I had this idea. So my backdrop is I had these cardboard letters that spell out my name. And I bought it from like a party, like almost like an online Party City like thing. So they're almost my height. They're almost 5 feet tall. And it's just like a big L, a big I, and a big Z. And I had them in my apartment before this thing started and then afterwards. And I told my roommates, I was like, I have an idea for the credits. And my roommate's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think it'd be really funny to just, so you know how they have like Wreck the Dress? Like women would get married and then they would destroy they'd walk into the ocean or they would do like a paintball thing. I was like, I want to wreck my letters as a way of like, for the credits. So we went on the sidewalk and my roommate filmed me truly like kicking them down, jumping on them. And they're just cardboard.
It's
but
so
like,
good. I love it.
It's really, really weird. And I put my sister is a singer-songwriter and I put her song at the end of it. It's called Sad Song. So it really
and
kind
this
of
song is so good.
Oh, I'm really proud of her.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So there's this really epic song with somewhat of a similar voice to me, but clearly better. And then I'm destroying these letters. And my favorite part about all of this is my soup. I live across the hall from my super and his wife, and they watched the whole thing. So I like came inside with all these like broken letters, and I was like putting it in the recycling. And they were like, "What do you do?" They were both like, what do you do for a living? Because they just see me always with a suitcase. I'll be gone for weeks at a time. And now they see, I was like, and I'm not even joking, I'm like rolling around on the sidewalk on broken letters. Like, it was so weird.
They think you're a hitman.
Say it again?
They think you're a hitman.
Yeah.
But there's also this Instagram account called Influencers in the Wild. And
I love that one.
It's so good. And me and my roommate want to submit me, because then another friend of ours, a neighbor of ours that also shot my special, was doing the behind the scenes. So there's this behind the scenes of me rolling on these letters and destroying them. And I was like, we should submit myself for Influencers in the Wild.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I think it's done by Tank Sinatra. So I don't know him well, but he's very sweet. And I was like, I think it'd be like a fun way to plug my special if he'd be interested.
Oh, definitely. That account's huge.
Yeah, and it's just fun. I think it's just silly.
That you self-produced it. I think that's the way to go these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, so this is the thing, is that it's just really hard. So like I self-produced both my albums, but that's still a bit of money, but it's a more manageable amount of money, and you can make that money back quicker. And but like this was, I did it on a tight budget, and it looks better than how much money I spent. And I'm fortunate because my roommate is a fashion photographer and videographer. He has connections to stuff. I had people, like my editor is my boyfriend's best friend, and he was very generous with me. So I had people I could call favors into, but I also spent a small wedding amount of money on this. And that's where you'll
have this forever.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
You can't divorce you could if you don't believe in it. But I have to say, I'm self-producing my albums prepared me for this, but also financially helped me out a lot so that I could save the money to then reinvest it in this. So I'm out a lot of money, and that sucks. And the way I'm releasing it doesn't really account for me making much of it back. But I do think right now, this would have been more helpful, honestly, if I was touring, because that's really how I make money. But I still think in the long run, building up your fan base, showing them your work, and teaching people how they should see you is kind of what self-releasing is doing for everybody, which we get edited down a lot. We have people that censor what we do. I think when you self-release, it's the closest to somebody seeing a live performance, because you're like, these are the jokes, how they were supposed to be done, in this order, unfiltered, or anybody around the world can see it, and everyone has access to it. Because that's the other thing. It's on Comedy Central, or it's on HBO. Well, HBO, you have to have an HBO account, or you have to steal somebody's thing, and it's not in every country. So there is something about self-releasing it on a network, not a network, but a website that everybody can have. It's if you have Wi-Fi, it's free to everybody. But then also the limitations that comedy is only for people that have money for luxury.
I think you can also do something that Mark Norman did, which is like people can tip you, I think, right?
Yeah, he put up his Venmo.
Well, yeah, so there's two different things. There's this thing called Super Chat when you do the premiere, so people can pay $2 or more if they want to, just to be highlighted. And if you, Adrian, if you wrote like, Liz, you're my favorite, and you wanted me to see it, you would do a Super Chat for $2 or more, and it would be like bright blue, and I would see it. So there's that aspect of it. But yeah, having your Venmo there, if people, and then also I think it's more American. That's what I've really noticed, honestly, from traveling. But we listen to our comedy a lot more, while other countries tend to watch it more. But there's a lot of people I know that want the physical copy. I haven't made physical copies, but they want to be able to listen to it while they're traveling. And that's available for pre-sale now. So I'm letting, even though finances are a little tight right now, I'm letting go of financial gain for just having people see what I do, and just hopefully reaching as many people as possible.
I think you'll definitely get a bunch more fans, and you already have a pretty good following right now.
Yeah, you have a good social media presence. I think this will just broaden it way more, because like you said, it's more accessible. Like, people don't have to buy a streaming service for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Everyone has access to YouTube, and everyone's home right now. It's the best time to put it out.
Yeah, it's literally a captive audience.
Yes.
But I'm excited about it. I'm grateful to have done something because like think about it this way. I know people that made specials 10 years ago, and what they did is sell it out the back of their car after shows. So there's a part of me that feels like I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to touch any money. Like there is something where it's just like, boop, if you want it, it's there. If you don't want it, that's fine too.
And a lot of people too want to, if they're your fans, they just want to support the arts. They'll buy it anyway, just because they want to support you.
People have been super generous. Like I've been doing Zoom shows lately, like new material Zoom shows, and people have just been really thoughtful and just knowing that we're all hurting right now. I think and like anybody that does have it, and like I've made all my Zoom shows pay what you can, because I have a very deep understanding that you might have lost your job and you might not have the finances, but you still deserve entertainment. And then there's people that they're like, hey, I'm making bank and I still have a job and I'm really grateful. And I just want to support people that are having less so. And then even with Zoom Diner, it's been people that I knew that like they couldn't get into unemployment or they're having kind of some issues getting money. And I just want to kind of, where I can, expose people to my fan base because they've been really thoughtful, but then also I think we're a community right now. Like I think stronger than ever, there's going to be people that survive or excel during the pandemic. And I think there's going to be people that suffer and struggle. And I think both for mental reasons and financial reasons, we just kind of have to figure out how to be there for each other. And I think that's happening in a lot of ways. Like I'm actually really, thank you, Muffin. I'm so grateful for both of you for having me. And I love you both.
I'm super excited for your show, for your special to come out.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, how fortunate that aren't you so grateful that you got a special in before the pandemic?
At first,
I mean, what a nightmare.
Well, at first I was really upset because I just spent my entire savings that I could be using right now. So I was both upset that I did it. And then also, you know, I was trying to sell it to Comedy Central and they were like, we really don't have of course, everybody just got fired 2 days ago, but they were like, hey, we're not, everything's on a hold. We're not blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck, like if this was a different time, maybe somebody would have spent money on it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But I think what's going to happen is you're really going to capture a lot of people that already are not your fans. They're going to be exposed to you. And then like more of those people will buy your album, buy your past albums, come to your Zoom shows. So you're investing in yourself right now, but it is going to be like beneficial to you down the line. And I know right now it's not easy to calculate that when there's not money involved, but I think it's going to be overall for you. It's going to be, I think, very beneficial.
And I think what makes me happy about at least myself is, I mean, all three of us, I think, are writers. Like when the pandemic, like I taped it in November. By March, I had about 15, 20 minutes of new material. And my goal was to have at least a half hour of new material when it came out so that if somebody came to see me live, they wouldn't just be watching my special again, but live. And now like my biggest thing with being locked up is I want to just write as much as possible and just keep growing. Clearly what I polish here isn't going to be as polished there, and it's going to take a little time performing to get it down. But my goal is when we do come back that nobody sees anything from the special or just 10 minutes from the special.
Yeah. Because I don't think I've written anything.
No.
It's very hard. It's very hard to write when you're having the same experiences every day.
Yeah, but that's where things, to me, that's where you either look at your past life and you have new appreciation or a new perspective.
Go back to old material.
Because isn't our job 100% giving people an interesting perspective in this whole situation? So now maybe you had a joke about hating to go to parties, but now you haven't seen your friends in 2 months, that now you have this she made a joke. We did a little Zoom thing for Sirius XM together. And she's like, I didn't even want to cancel on this party. Like I was excited to show up. Yeah. Like now she has a new perspective on parties because parties are Zoom parties, and or she misses her friends so much that she would now go. So to me, there's a lot to be said about the mental new experiences that you're having and the mental shift in your perspective that we wouldn't have had, because in some ways your life was the exact same, but in a different way 2 months ago.
It's just weird though. Like if I take a drive somewhere, I'll think of stuff because stuff is happening, you know, like stuff around me. But if I'm just in the house, like there really is not new experiences.
Yeah, but then you can write about how everybody on TikTok stupid. Like, I just feel like you can find,
Yeah.
yeah. She's like, we're all technically on TikTok. Some of us are just doing better.
I'm not stupid.
You joined though. You're just not posting.
I don't even know how to go on it. I'm still trying to nail Instagram.
No, you're all doing great.
Yeah. TikTok's weird though.
It's so weird. My favorite is you're rewarded for crap and you're penalized. Like, I put my animation that like some woman spent a month doing. It's like my favorite joke. It took months of me to craft the joke. Then this woman took months of animating it. And TikTok's like, nah, bro. Nah. Do you want to do a dance poorly? I'll watch that. Like,
well, TikTok it's like, if you're going to fall and capture that, that's what TikTok is.
Yeah.
100%. And so I think there's benefits to capturing that zeitgeist, but I don't want to change who I am as an artist just to get followers, because then you're chasing the followers, as opposed to I'll be myself and I'll try to get the people that like myself, and even if it's just 200 extra people on TikTok now who know who I am, there's value to building up so I just kind of take my content, do my best to adapt what I already make and I have that I think has value, and put it in different forums. But I'm not going to go, okay, everybody's dancing with one tit out. That's what I'm going to do now.
Like, then you got to have 2 tits out.
Yeah.
Just, who has time to exfoliate all the tits to make them look perfect enough for TikTok?
You want a lot of followers on TikTok or not?
Yeah, exactly. Not apparently. Dude, there'll be days where like I just can't focus and I'll just like, I'm just gonna watch a little bit of TikTok before bed, which is always a mistake. And I watched this girl, and for some reason the essence of this TikTok felt like something funny was gonna happen. And it never did. And then I realized I just watched a 16-year-old girl dance, and I was like, this thing is tricky. I was like
yeah.
I immediately was like,
I'll get to a dark place with it. Well, all of a sudden I'm watching somebody talk about their child custody on there, and then you're like, I think you're the bad person in this.
yeah. You're like, I don't have sympathy.
This is what you guys want me to go on. I'm not getting into that.
No, you just post your stand-up, get your fans, and leave. Like,
there's like old creepy dudes who are like starting out to just watch these videos, and then they're pretending to themselves that they're in it for the dance.
Yeah,
they're not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm putting my stand-up on there and a couple sketches. I love Sarah's. She's like has like funny tweets or funny parts of her bits that like I've always loved the is it the Glossier things that you do?
Oh yeah, the makeup one.
Those make me laugh so hard, especially because you mimic their weirdness so well, and then you're doing stuff that like, how is this jade thing any much different than your salami toner or whatever?
Stuff. But that's what you were saying about TikTok, like. That one, I put effort into that one, and it doesn't do as well as the ones that I'm just sitting on my couch talking into the camera.
And it's so upsetting because you're like, that's the one that does well. You're like, but you just have to let it go. You have to be like, okay, at least this one doing well will lead people to the ones that I actually want them to see. And that's how you kind of have to treat it.
Yeah. It's just funny that you're like, I spent a lot of time on that and it's only gotten a few hundred. And then the other one where you just say one little thing into it and then it's like, it goes viral.
Remember that video you had of you with Victor Bernardo where you were like, your talent was throwing up and shitting? That would probably kill on TikTok.
I should probably find that one again.
That's pretty funny. I liked it. It made me laugh. I watched it several times.
That's my porn.
Yeah.
That's my sex tape.
Whatever.
Are you liking Zoom shows?
I'm trying to be positive and see the value in them. If it's not for new material, like I've been asked to do little, like almost like showcase shows, but over Zoom. And my first question is like, they'll be like, we'll pay you $15. And I'd be like, can I do new material? Like that's
new.
That's how I am right now.
I mean, I don't even remember my old jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am worried. Bless you.
Thank you.
Corona. Oh, you're going to die.
No.
But yeah, you're like, oh, we lost Adrian. I was like, oh my God, I'm the new Vag co-host.
That's how you got it. I just died on camera.
And I'm just like, Sarah, it's happening. I'm so excited to be here.
That would be so good for our brand.
Yeah,
if I died right now.
but then we never talk about it. Like it's just another Italian, like another like loud Italian is like I have glasses. I actually wear contacts. I could slowly just become Adrian. She technically has curly hair, so do I. So I can get it down.
Go in.
Yeah.
We'll be like Becky from Roseanne.
Yes.
Yeah, no one will know the difference.
You know what'd be so funny? I just named my cat Zuzu, and I'm just like, Zuzu's changed.
Yeah.
Well, your cat is also black, just like Zuzu.
Oh yeah.
I'll put tape to smush her face, and
Yeah.
then I'll call her Zuzu. Oh my God, I'm so excited to play you.
Your cat's gonna love that.
Yeah, she absolutely is. And she's like trying to lick tape off. Honestly, doing the new material shows and just having any outlet to grow and play around and then talk stuff, I am starting to really like that and appreciate that. I also will say that everybody understands that this is hard and not ideal. And do you know how many times you do a shitty show? Like it's a corporate show. Everybody just came from work. It feels like it's 100 and like people like you're just like nobody knows how hard this is right now. And you guys are being a tight asshole audience. And this is not, it's a 4 p.m. You all just came from work. It's like for like a solar company, like you can't curse. Like everything is like stacked against you. And then you bomb and you're angry because you're like, you don't know how hard this is. I feel like it's almost the opposite. I feel like everybody understands how hard it is. And then when you bomb, they're just like, yeah, but you did your best. We're proud of you. We know if you were on stage, you would have killed it. Like it just feels like a much more supportive bombing area. Like
they're nicer.
Yeah, everybody seems nicer.
Whoa.
Maybe people will be
somebody peeled out.
Maybe when people go to comedy shows, they'll be like really nice and gracious because they know how hard it is.
I hope so. And they'll know that we like haven't made money for months and that we haven't really done stand-up for months.
I want to know, yeah. I like knowing everybody's name on the Zoom shows and that you can see how they live. Yeah.
Yeah, like of course you wouldn't get that, Margaret. You have a dishwasher and a maid. Like you're just like, you just don't know my struggles.
Yeah. Why are you even here?
That's actually kind of funny, like on Zoom to be like, hey, this is just for the people that look like they have 7 roommates. That's you, Taylor. That's you.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. I like that idea.
The guy that I did a show that Liz introduced me to, the guy Kurt. Do you remember that guy Kurt from like the DC area, Bethesda?
Oh yeah,
he sent out an email where he's like, "Hey, I need a headliner to do 40 to 45 minutes for $100 on Zoom," and you're like, "Absolutely not."
10 minutes. I've done a few Zooms where they've paid around $80 to $100 for about maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And then I did one this last week for 6 minutes and it paid me $15 and I was so mad.
But that disjointness has even been in stand, like you travel 4 hours and you make money, and then you travel 20 minutes and you make amazing money. Or like one is asking for a half hour, like 2 shows could both be asking for a half hour. They both can be a 2-hour drive. And one is going to pay you an astronomical amount and the other one's going to pay you garbage. Like that has always been.
Yeah. There's no standards.
There's no standards. And I try to have my own standards. There's a couple like, things where you're just like, I get that you can't pay that or blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, what was happening up until the pandemic is I was starting to be in a place where I could make choices based on what I want to do. And what's going to have value to me. Like my thing is I always charge more if I have to be clean. I can do it, but I have to study and it's not enjoyable for me. So if I got into comedy to have fun, I don't need this money or this connection. Then the answer is either you pay me an exorbitant amount or I'll introduce you to 5 comics that would love to perform for you for this amount of money for a clean show. But I can be clean, but I am not a clean comic. And it's not enjoyable for me to wonder, oh no, the word shit's coming up. I got to make sure I make an adjustment. That's not fun for me.
When that comes up and you're like, oh, instead of saying shit, you're like, crap.
Well, you try to make, because my brain is so slow, you try to make, so I say stuff a lot. So like shit turns into stuff. Fuck, I think I can just usually take it out. but when it's sex, you're just like, I'll screw you. And you're like, that doesn't have an impact. I just, to me, I'm being inauthentic by changing the curse word. So I do have a fair amount of clean stuff. So if it's a short set and the clean is just not 4-letter words, then it's not too hard. But once they're like, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. If it's not a charity and I'm not helping people, you're just tight ass people. That's not fun for me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's work.
It is. It's real work. And I don't like that. I don't like work. I don't want to work.
That's why we got into this, to not work, and now we're not working. This seems like a dream.
Our dreams really did come true.
We did, guys.
I looked into starting a food truck the other day. Do you guys ever do that? Like,
she's trying to go to mechanic school. Every time I talk to Adrienne, she's like, I've been looking up mechanic schools. I'm like, how's that going? She's like, I haven't made a deposit yet, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Sarah knows all about my mechanic school dreams.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before.
Every time she calls me, she's like, well, I'm this much closer to mechanic school. I'm like, you know what? Why am I fighting her? Like, if my car gets fixed, maybe this is a good friendship.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to work on my own cars during the apocalypse. That is going to be something you're definitely going to need as a mechanic in your crew.
Yeah.
So what kind of food truck? What's your dream food truck?
Well, my very first job out of high school was I did snow cones, and it was New Orleans style, which is a way better shaved ice than just regular snow cone. So I was going to do snow cone, but I was also, you guys don't do chips and queso up here like you do in Texas, and it's so good, it's so cheap, that I was also going to do Tex-Mex as well as margaritas for adults. Since we're in this like dilemma of not being able to go to a restaurant, that I was like, I could just drive around neighborhoods. I don't have to pay an extreme rent. It would just be a lease on a food truck.
Empanadas are my favorite. Can you add empanadas to your menu, please?
Empanadas. I just want low overhead. I was also thinking about just doing plain sheet cake.
Okay. I think it should be plain sheet cake that just says like fucked up messages. Like, I don't know. I can't even think of what a fucked up message is. Like, you're adopted. Here's a sheet cake.
Can you make some guacamole also?
Yeah, I'll do some guacamole. Although avocados are pretty expensive.
Yeah, but then you can charge
you can probably get them.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
that's my idea. And I live right down the street from a huge food truck warehouse.
Really?
I walked by it. I was peeping.
It'd be so cool to see what everyone goes into after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like comics and people who are, their jobs are like iffy.
Well, what's interesting is like, you can't just go into anything. It has to be something you're now thinking, what's sustainable if I can't be around people? What's still essential? Like I feel like everybody's 4 dream jobs are non-essential. Like,
mechanics are essential.
I didn't say they weren't. Muffin, I didn't say they weren't.
And then I can also tell my funnies while I'm fixing cars. And they were like, I don't want to go to this girl. She tells a lot of jokes about O.J. Simpson and murder. She knows how to rebuild a carburetor though.
Did I ever tell you like when I would get depressed and think about quitting stand-up, what my backup plan was?
No.
I was going to be a personal trainer, but I was going to be like, just like a really good personal trainer. And I would never tell anybody because this was around like 10 years in, I was like, I was never going to tell anybody I did stand up. So I'd be like stretching some girl and I'd be telling jokes and she'd be like, oh my God, you're so funny. You should be a comic. And I'd be like, oh my God, I could never. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for them. Like just be like an exceptionally funny, regular person and never let anybody know I did it professionally. Like change my name. People would be like, you kind of look like this person I saw on YouTube. And I was like, I just have that face. I just have a face that looks like other people's faces. People say that all the time.
Yeah. But thank you.
Yeah.
I've thought about it, but I mean.
that they're just, I would like really build it up. I'd be like, what, they're heroes. And I just don't feel like I could really be that brave and what they give back to the community. Like they just all deserve to be millionaires. And I just don't feel like I should have that respect and loyalty. Like
what's interesting too is I've gotten messages on Instagram from so many people who want to start doing stand-up. And I'm like,
this isn't the time.
I know, but I've gotten at least 2 to 4 messages where I'm like, why would you do that now? This is the worst time. It's going to be way harder.
It's going to be 10 times harder. Yeah. Be a columnist. You can do that.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple, this girl through the barbershop show, she started going there and then she was friends with Ronnie and she was like, she was trying to pay somebody to help her get her a one-woman show. And then so Ronnie reached out to me and I was helping her, but I was like, I don't know how you're going to get this up if you can't. I was like, the only way to write is to perform, right?
Yeah.
You can't figure out what's working unless you're doing it up on stage.
So she wanted you to help her write a one-woman show, and then she was just going to perform it like it was a monologue? Like,
yeah. Like, well, it was going to be with her. It was about sex and dating, and it was a dialogue. And then that was the other thing where you're like, I don't know what new you could bring to the table with sex and dating.
Especially if she's hiring you to help her with new ideas. Is she helping you? She wants structure, or does she want you to give new ideas? Like,
just structure. So if I was going to direct somebody, I don't really want to write their show for them. All I want to do is just help them put it. And I've never done a one-woman show, but I was charging them $30 an hour.
That's not even enough money.
I know.
Not enough money.
I was going off the basis of like what UCB would pay their directors, because it wasn't, all I was doing is just reading all of her notes and then I put it in a timeline. But even after I told her all the stuff that you were going to do, this happens all the time with people that want to get into stand-up. They're like, what do you need to do? And I'm like, well, you need to go up every night for 10 years straight, and you're going to go do shit rooms forever. And then they're just like, oh,
thank you.
Or they're like, I don't believe that. And then they get it in 3 years and they're on Comedy Central. And you're like, oh, I guess maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Oh, man, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Or like, I forgot to tell you that you could just wear your bathing suit on Instagram.
Yeah, that's another way you could do it. That'll cut 6 to 7 years off of your shitty open mic experience.
As you guys say that, I just start unzipping. I'm like, wait, what do we do?
Yeah.
Wait, what is the secret again, guys?
Thirst traps.
Oh, thirst traps. I mean, come on. I have spaceship earrings. How is this not making people fucking boners?
I thought they were little astronauts.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're right.
They are,
right? Spaceships. Yeah, they're astronauts. And then this is a little star.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very cute.
Thank you so much.
Liz,
I love them.
That's got to be somebody's thirst trap.
I know. There's somebody that's just like, I like feet and I like dangly weird earrings. Right now with this Adidas, I feel like a fun gym teacher. Like,
yeah, I love this look on you. It's like Adidas, but also spaceship and futuristic, but also like little girl with pigtails. Somebody right now is just getting off on all of that stuff.
Cool. Yeah. I'm really uncomfortable. I feel the kindergarten gym class vibe is what I think I'm going for. Like, I'm 24. I still have a pep in my step. I'm trying not to get hit on by the other teachers, but I also I'm lonely.
You still think charity is good?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No. I still think I'm going to get in touch with these kids and change them.
Yeah, you're so new. Well, where can everybody find you?
So
no, like your home address.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
We want everyone to know where you live.
I live on this street between these avenues. Okay, so at Liz Miele on everything. If this is video, you can see that's how you spell my name. Yeah. Look how nice my nails look in quarantine.
Here, I just put the cursor over it so you can see it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so at Liz Miele on literally all social media. For YouTube, it's youtube.com/Liz Miele, and that's where you can see my special May 30th. And then I have a podcast of my own with another lady, with a co-lady, Maria Shahada. She's American, but she is based in London, and it's called Two Non-Doctors. And
what do you guys do on it?
We talk about like health, beauty, our bodies. Like it's like a kind of like a funny. It's this, but mostly concentrated on health. So we'll talk about what we Googled that week and kind of like self-diagnosing ourselves and figuring out like, why do I have this weird thing on my face? And is this actually work, or should I get LASIK surgery? And then we have a topic where it's stuff either we've dealt with or we've heard about, and we try to investigate it. So like Maria has misophonia, which is the hatred of sound. I suffer from depression, panic attacks, anxiety, dyslexia, everything. I suffer from a lot, so we have a lot of topics. So we usually pick a topic and talk about our experiences and what we've learned and blah blah blah. Like she had psoriasis, I had eczema, so we had a whole like very itchy episode.
Just a lot of dander.
Yeah, just a lot of dander and itching. But it's been fun. And my mom has come on it twice. So my mom's a veterinarian. And my favorite episode is about my mom. She started competitive powerlifting in her 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, her mom is ripped.
Yeah, my mom's crazy. So my mom is probably my height. She's maybe a little shorter than me, a little like 5 foot maybe. And she was always she did every kind of workout you could possibly think of. But in her 50s, she got into CrossFit and she really got into weightlifting. She hated cardio. And I think that was the problem. She had 5 kids. So she was just always kind of fighting her body. And then she discovered powerlifting through CrossFit, started competing. She lifted 303 pounds, broke state records for her age group and her weight class, and just loves it. So she's still working. She's not retired yet.
That's amazing.
That's insane, right?
Yeah, so it's actually a really inspiring episode, just about women in general lifting, and then women in their 60s lifting. And it's like, my mom's really funny. Like since she's a veterinarian, she's helped out with Marley and Zuzu before. But my mom's really funny, and she's way smarter than me and Maria. So it actually gives us a lot of like authenticity and
yeah. And now she can lift a shit ton of stuff. That's crazy.
It's really cool.
She could just lift you and throw you into traffic.
she borderline has as a child.
That's how she prepared for this.
Yeah, she was always throwing kids out of her way. She's like, why'd I have so many of you? But yeah, that's because you guys had the podcast before quarantine, but we started it like truly the first week of it, because we were like, I don't think we have jobs anymore, and it's been really nice.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. It's really funny to we always make stuff up on here.
Yeah, we try to have a little bit of basis, but I swear to God, every episode we're like, we're not doctors. We're comedians that Google, like, just so we're all clear.
Oh yeah, I just read a headline and then I think what the article is, and then I spread that as facts.
I think that's what everyone's doing right now.
Yeah, truly. But thanks, ladies. This was fun. I miss you both a lot.
Yeah,
I know. Thanks for doing this.
I can't wait where we can hang out in reality soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, watch Liz Miele's special May 30th, 8 p.m. premiere, YouTube.
Yeah.
And you'll find the link on any social media that you follow Liz, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, email us at vagpodcast@gmail.com. Love the reviews.
Yeah, we got a lot of nice reviews, a lot of nice new Patreon followers. So thanks for supporting women during this time.
Yeah.
We're really getting hit hard.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye.